So, after hearing Danny's story, I'm sure it touched a lot of you. I started crying. I don't think you did. It's touching, and it definitely beats the heart because 5 months ago, I went through a similar thing of not wearing a helmet, and I came home and I got a traumatic brain injury from that. So I want to bring all you here to fix the rumors of my story. Is I was in school, easily say Monday through Thursday on my junior year, having a great time, and things came up. The party was happening that Friday. Just like every other college kid, I decided to go have a good time. Except I decided to ride a longboard home. I ended up talking to a friend at 1:30 that night, and he said, "Get home safe. I'll see you tomorrow." The next time I talked and saw that person, I was in the hospital. So the story goes as this, and it's all a compilation from people's memories because I don't have any memory of it or days later. Is the blood pool showed that I fell about 50 feet from the house that I was staying at over the summer, and there's 3 of them, I guess large blood pools, on the street, and you can joke about how I fell, if it was maybe I hit a deer, a raccoon, maybe an old man threw a stick in front of my wheels. I don't know what made me fall, but that fall changed my life. Because I got a traumatic brain injury and a fracture in my skull, and ended up being in the hospital for 11 days and in ICU for 4. So, from the story goes on the blood pools, is I ended up walking to the college after somehow waking up after bleeding out there, and the only emotions I remember is ripping the pillow off the back of my head as the blood dried. And then there's a 5-second memory of seeing the light come through the room and seeing blood on the wall and the comforter that I slept on that night. Somehow, through that, so you all know the full story, is I was able to call somebody that I was supposed to see that day and told them that I wasn't going to be able to come in because I think I got hurt. And I hung up and scared the life out of that guy. What happened? So from there, I walked back up to the house that I was living at, and the roommate walked in, woke up and said, "Are you okay? Why didn't you come home last night? Why didn't you say us anything?" And I said, "Will you look at the back of my head?" He said, "Yeah." He looked at it and said, "Oh my gosh, there's a huge hole in the back of your head. You're taking you to the hospital." I said, "Okay." After being in the hospital here at Incline, they said, "Boys, this isn't something that you can just slap a Band-Aid on. This is an emergency." And put me in an ambulance down to Reno for Renown in the neurological department. And this is where, as like a lot of kids and from parents here that are, is have your kids sign a medical directive. So when you are ever, I really hope not, put in a situation like that, the people you know, love, will be contacted. Because if I didn't talk to an ambulance driver and be calling my mom that day to tell me that your son may go on brain surgery tonight, she never would have known. She would have thought I was finishing out my first week of school, and she would have known. So talk to your parents about that. Be a little more aware about your safety and medical issues that go on. So, like I said, I was in Renown for 6 days and funded Antioch for another neurological test on my brain for 5 more. I was in the hospital for 11 days. And as I was in Antioch, I started to get a little more memory back and functionality on what I could do and what I could remember. And I remember this. My mom asked me a question. She came in and stormed in and was really angry. She goes, "Cory, what are you doing differently that got you hurt?" And previous in the last 6 months, before the accident, I bruised my kidney snowboarding and ribs, and then cut my ear in half skimboarding. And then she's like, "Now you're lying in bed with a brain injury. What are you doing differently?" She said this in an angry tone. I was like, "Well, I'm not." So I started to think about it, and I realized every single one of those injuries was caused for one reason, and that was a loss of focus, and a loss of not really living in that moment with who you're with and the time you do have. Because the time you do have is really valuable. Because like that, it can be lost. So while I was snowboarding, I was thinking about business. While I was skimboarding, I was thinking about surfing. And while I was coming home that night, maybe it was a big slap in the face to say, "Wake up, kid. You need to value what you do have." And that's why I wanted to come and share it with you guys. From there, it moves on to a quote I read in the book as soon as I got out of the hospital, and Albert Einstein shared, "I dare not think about the future because it comes soon enough." So thinking about later on that night or tomorrow or a year from now, it's all going to happen eventually. So really just cherish what you're doing and really live in that moment. And that's what I learned from this. So the other thing that follows up is that like aha moments where a friend maybe asked a question, or there's moments you have like, aha, I got a brain injury, now I'm like, well, what carrying? Or aha, a friend asked me, "Cory, I can't really see a difference in you," and a lot of you may not be able to see in my appearance, but my insides show a lot more than my outsides can. He said, "I can't see a difference, but do you see that your accident will make a difference in your life?" And I was like, wow, that's the deepest question I've ever heard since the accident. And I said, "I'd like to think so." And although I've been through a really rough road, it's still happening. But I feel like I've gained a lot from valuing the moment and cherishing the people I'm with, like all of you here tonight. And I appreciate that. Through all that, I feel like I've become a kinder, smarter, and more valuable person who just really cherishes the life that we do have. So, I got lost on track. I'll blame the brain injury. It's from that aha moment really taught me that. And, yeah, I'm really lost. It taught me to value the moment and the things that we do have, so that I end up realizing, how am I going to see my life? And I ended up watching a TED Talk by Stephen Cave regarding life and death. And he related this to a lot of things that you guys may be able to relate to. His analogy was that life is like a book, and with a beginning of birth and an end of death, it all eventually will be finished. And that's how I see my life now, in the sense where my traumatic brain injury is just a chapter in my life's book. And those days that I don't remember are just blank pages. So for me to come back to school, it's not to share with all of you that I'm back at 100% and I can do well in school, but that I need to be able to finish my chapter about having a traumatic brain injury with some of your help, from the students to the faculty and the friends that I've made here, so that I can do well in school and stay here. Because all the time that I have memories of you guys is what made me want to come back so badly, on recovering and deciding, yeah, coming back to school, I can try it. And if I can do well, great. If not, I go home. So all of that brought me to really just appreciate all of you coming here and everything that I had to share, from valuing the moment to just enjoying the time that you have in life and taking care of yourselves. Because, like Dan was saying, maybe wearing a helmet would have prevented me going through, say, being out on the street and having a traumatic brain injury that's now changed my life. So the things you lost can somehow teach you something new and something learned. Thank you all for coming. Danny asked, if any of you guys have any questions about a traumatic brain injury or anything about our stories, please feel welcome. But I told enough.